Easy, boy. Hiya, folks. I'm John Denver. I want to welcome you to our Rocky Mountain reunion. I think you're really going to enjoy what you're about to see because, well, it's more than just a television program. It's a really very special event. To explain it just briefly, here in the Rockies, there are a lot of animals that have just plain vanished, but not forever. Because what we've done and what this show is all about is we have reintroduced several of these creatures into their native homeland. We've taken a male and a female of some of the rarest animals in North America, and we've brought them back here where they belong for, well, like I said, a Rocky Mountain reunion. Today, we want to share the adventure of a lifetime with you. By plane and glider and pack horse, we're going to take you on an unforgettable trip into the most remote and spectacular wilderness areas of the High Rockies. From beneath the water of an icy mountain lake to the region of eagle and falcon, diving and soaring through clouds and canyons, we'll share the spectacle of this unspoiled country. And, along the way, some close-up views of some of the rarest and most precious creatures, those animals that have come to be known as endangered species. Many of the animals we will be seeing today have long been missing from the Rockies, victims of what passes these days for civilization. So our journey today is more than just a sightseeing tour. I hope you will share the excitement of restoring some of these rare and long-absent animals to their original homelands. I hope you enjoy this as much as I have. There are times in the High Rockies when it all seems uphill. One of those times I discovered is when you're lugging a pair of caged wolverines through deep snow. Wolverines sometimes reach 60 pounds apiece, and these felt like real heavyweights to me. Of course, with my good buddies David Huey helping on the other end and Ernie Wilkinson leading the way and lending a hand, I knew we'd get where we were going. Ernie used to be a government trapper back in the 40s, and he knew exactly where we were going. He was leading us back to that spot in the Rockies where he had trapped his last wolverine some 20 years ago. Ernie was paid a government bounty for trapping animals that preyed on domestic livestock, and wolverines were suspect. So between the traps and poison bait, also set out for predators, it had been many years since wolverines had been seen in this part of the Rockies. Now, at least 2 were coming home again, if we could make it up the hill, that is. Ernie seemed to take special pride in helping return the wolverines to their wilderness home. Nobody knew better than Ernie the legends that surrounded these animals. The scientific name of the wolverine translates into gluttonous glutton. Indian devil and skunk bear are just a couple of the milder names the animal has been called. One 18th century Englishman wrote that the wolverine drops moss from tree limbs to lure deers into ambush. Alaskan Eskimos called him Kiwaharkus, or Evil One, because he plundered their traps with almost supernatural cunning. Along the way, a curious badger decides to investigate this invasion of his territory. His bow-legged, low-slung body gives him a comical appearance as he wades through the snow. As a fellow member of the weasel family, it may have been the scent of his cousins in the cage that attracted his attention. Like the wolverine, he is a ferocious fighter, and there's not an animal in his weight class that can lick him. When Ernie let us know that we had reached the spot, it was a real relief to put that heavy cage down. Even the wolverines seem to know that their moment of freedom is almost here. A long rope is rigged to the cage so that the doors can be triggered from a safe distance. There's not a case on record of a wolverine ever attacking a man, but nobody seems eager to put it to a test, especially me. When the cage is finally rigged, Ernie gives us one last warning to give those critters plenty of room. You know, I couldn't think of one good reason to argue with him. At last, the moment of truth, and what a thrill it was to see them head for the open country. We may have been wallowing through the snow, but they skim across the surface like they're airborne. Indian devil? Gluttonous glutton? Only a human being could be prejudiced or presumptuous enough to hang labels like that on an animal like the wolverine, or any animal for that matter. For in nature there is neither good nor evil. There is only the instinct to survive, and each wild animal is bound to follow the dictates of his own instinct. With luck, these two will survive a harsh winter, and with the coming of spring will be drawn to each other to begin a family. Knowing this will make our trip home seem downhill all the way. As winter melts into spring, the changing colors, the sounds, and movements of new life signal the passing of one season into the next. These changes are also a reminder that the time is fast approaching for our next adventure. Together with my friend Lou Willie, we would head once again into the high country, this time to return two of the rarest and most beautiful of this country's priceless treasures. Leave me alone.
Well, John, it's going to be mighty cold walking through that river.
You know, Lou, that reminds me, I have a friend I brought up here from L.A., a fellow named Jerry Weintraub. He's never spent too much time in the mountains. I took him on a hike up to a lake, and he was talking about swimming at the end of the hike. I told him, you know, that water's pretty cold, Jerry. He said, I can handle it. His little boy, Michael, was along, asked how cold the water was. I said, Michael, it's so cold that sometimes when people jump in, it looks like the lake threw them right back out. Didn't say anything. We got up and I went swimming for a while, and it was all I could do to stay in the water. I mean, just, you know, take your breath away, stop your heart. I stayed in the water as long as I could and tried to be cool about it, got out, and then challenged Jerry if he was going swimming or not. He said, yes, I'm going swimming. He jumped in, and I swear to God, it looked like it threw him right back out. And his little boy laughed. Oh, that was great. This time our cargo is a pair of trumpeter swans. They're not nearly as heavy as a cage full of wolverines, but it sure is nice to have somebody else carrying the load. Oh, that is cold! What? It's hard to believe that when this country was young, there were so many millions of trumpeter swans at an overhead flight could darken the sun. I don't think we're going to keep dry here. But what's even harder to believe is that by 1935 we had trapped and killed and destroyed all but 73 in the entire country. And for what good reason were they sacrificed? Why? To decorate hats and trim dresses. So these are going to be the only two in Colorado, is that right, Lou?
That's right. When you consider that there are only 1,000 left in the entire U.S., it's quite remarkable.
Easy does it. Lou, you think these two will make the nucleus of a little family here in Colorado, huh?
Well, I sure do. And the remarkable thing is they mate for life.
Is that right?
That's right.
That's far out. Well, I want to see how this guy's doing over here.
How does he look?
Well, None the worse for wear. How long you been thinking about this?
Oh, since 1936.
Is that right? Although we have only about 1,000 here in the lower 48, we're blessed beyond belief in Alaska. In the wide open spaces of that great state, it's estimated that there may be as many as 5,000 alive and well. I even had the opportunity